me oh, some sorrow will hold. There's a song that will linger forever in our ear. Hard time come again no more. 'Tis a song sigh of weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you've lingered around my cabin door. Hard time come again no more. While we seek mirth and believe and music thy hand gave, they're afraid of force fainting at the door. Though their voices they are silent, pleading eyes will say, hard time come again no more. 'Tis a song sigh of weary. Hard times get no more. Many days you lingered around my cabin door. Hard time come again no more. My name is Dr. Guitar. Some call me the Flatland. It's because I'm from Modesto. Deep in the heart of California's beautiful Central Valley. So you just go ahead and call me Doc. You know, I'm in need of some truth. I've been around a long time, and I got a story or two I can tell about this and the people that call it home. This particular story starts here in the Central Coast, but it ends up north in my little town. On this overcast, drizzly morning, two lives will collide. We as a country and people are never going to be the same. There's a pale, drooping lady toils her life away with one heart. It's better days oh, would be merry, sighing all the day. Hard time come again no more.
We was picking beets down in the Imperial Valley, near the Mexican border. Down there we drove north toward Watsonville. Heard there was work in the Pajaro Valley kicking legs. We's all here in Napomo, and ad in the newspaper promised work in the pea fields. Like winter frost done destroyed that crop.
It's raining. The camera bags are packed. On the car seat beside me is a box with rolls of exposed film ready to mail back to Washington.
They've been pretty bleak of late, but I ain't giving up. Not yet. Not so long as there's hope. If I ever lose hope, I ain't gonna make it. The country ain't gonna make it with no hope neither.
I've been on the road for more than a month. I'm worked out. Driving north on 101, 65 miles an hour for 7 hours will get me home to my family tonight. My eyes are glued to the wet, gleaming highway that stretches out ahead. I feel freed.
We've been living on the edge of a razor and can't seem to get quit of it. My man Jim and my boy Troy, they's in town, see if they can't get the car back on the road at a price we can afford. Timing chain went out and they dinged the radiator trying to fix it. They'll be back soon enough and then we can move on.
A fleeting glance, a sign catches my eye. Something important? My intuition and experience take over. I turn around and drive back like a homing pigeon.
I sees a cart coming up the road.
I'm following instinct, not reason.
It's a Ford station wagon. Well, it can't hardly be newish. It's a woman behind the wheel. She gets out the car. Short brown hair, bright blue-green eyes. Not a peanut, mind you, but kind of cute. Sharp dresser, wears one of them French type hats. Slacks, sweater, tennis shoes. Don't look like she missed too many meals, huh? She ain't from nowhere I knows. She walks around the passenger side.
I take a chance. I feel lucky. This kind of luck happens only thanks to years of practice when opportunity intersects preparation.
Poor thing, she kind of lame. She pulls a camera out of the passenger side, big old black thing, almost too big for her. Sets it on the hood. Grabs a small rectangle out of some box and slides it in the back of the camera. Grabs a small loose-leaf notebook from the seat, got a small pencil attached.
I see and approach the hungry and desperate mother, drawn as if by a magnet. I do not remember how I explain my presence or my camera to her.
I studies her son.
Maybe she'll feel sorry for me. Maybe she'll go along without asking too many questions. My limp usually made my subjects feel more comfortable with me. They could see I understood suffering. I had polio as a child. It left my right leg shorter and less developed, and my right foot kind of stiff. No one who hasn't lived the life of a semi-cripple knows what that means. I think it was the most important thing that happened to me. It formed me, guided me, instructed me, helped me, and humiliated me. My limp was a constant reminder that I was different.
Reminds me of a sparrow with a broken wing.
Now, over the years, I shot a lot of folks, squatting, leaning, sitting with their legs sprawled out or raised. I much prefer looking to being looked at. If I don't want anyone to see me, I know how to make the kind of face so eyes go off of me. There she sits in a tattered lean-to tent, her children huddled around her.
Dorothea shot 7 exposures that day. Moving closer, closer. Common technique for a portrait photographer.
She often shot an entire sequence before getting what she wanted. That Dorothea always got what she wanted. You make time, then you make a little dance. You make sweet molasses can. Say, honey, you making any money? 'Cause that's what I wanna know. Could make trouble, make mistakes and they pay double. Say, honey, you making any money? 'Cause that's all I wanna know. You make dates, you make trains, I get that through That's all I wanna know. So the first exposure was a trial, unprovoked, spontaneous, immediately after Dorothy and Patrick came. Just to introduce the subjects to arranging, posing as a portrait session can require. Unfortunately, it had already been a long day. The haste, exhaustion. She might have got the date wrong. She had other things on her mind. Well, might have mixed up one story with her. It's funny that way.
Who's that, Maud?
Joffrey,
What does she want? Mama, what did she want?
don't you worry. Things can be all right.
The hell with her.
Watch your mouth, girl.
I don't feel like having my picture taken. She shouldn't be taking any
Hush,
pictures
Viola.
than asking.
Y'all best be respecting your betters.
Who says she's better? I see his fancy clothes.
Mind your manners, sister.
Why should I? They don't.
Clean shitty, babe. I ain't going nowheres.
She seems to sense my pictures might help her, so she helps me. There's a sort of equality about it.
I let her take my picture because I think it might do some good.
Maybe I should tell her I work for the government. Publicity for the Resettlement Administration, hired to document the hard times, the poor plight of the poor farmers and the migrant workers. To show Congress and the American people, all the middle-class voters, the need for reform. This is what I do, what I always wanted to do, address social problems while making an artistic statement. Make the world better with my art.
She feels sorry for us, I can tell. Lord, she ain't no better than us, no better, no how.
Everything about this encounter is an exception. I usually have an assistant work on a schedule, and I never introduce myself before shooting. I generally will chat a little before pulling out the camera, maybe ask for directions as an icebreaker, or questions like, where have you come from? Where are you going? Who is living or traveling with you? How are you managing? What are your plans?
She making me mighty scared staying all quiet and such. I might just well be dead for all the how to do I'm a getting.
I never want any emotional distance between us. But I don't do that today. I'm in a hurry, and it looks as though it might still rain, and I am just too tired to talk. Too tired to seduce, and I get a little pushy when I'm exhausted. But it's important. I hope I get it all down. I hope I get it right. I hope I don't frighten them. I hope it isn't a waste of time. I hope she goes along. I saw the sign on the road and thought about stopping, but it was already past mid-morning and I had a couple 100 miles to go to get home. I had a couple 100 miles to go to get home, so I didn't stop. I didn't want to. I was here last year. It was my first assignment for the government. Nothing came of it.
Where's home?
Berkeley, near San Francisco.
I knows where Berkeley is.
Well, I was planning on getting home before dark, so I kept going. But there was something I couldn't shake. Those voices in my head kept saying, Dorothea, what about that camp back there? What is the situation there? Now, no one can ask this of you now, could they? To turn back certainly isn't necessary. Haven't you enough negatives already on this subject? Isn't this just one more of the same? Besides, if you pull the camera out in this rain, you're just asking for trouble. Now, be
Them
reasonable.
voices can be a bother. Seems like they'll never let up.
Look, I must have gone 20 miles before I decided the only way to stop those questions was to go back, and almost without realizing it, I turned around.
And here y'all live.
And here I am. If I smile, maybe that will quicken their ease.
If I should smile. It never gets so bad I can't smile.
It's hiding my road, no hand to hold. Both need to travel the hot, dusty road. Out of your just They're singing in this union as migrants and men. Working this fight till we win. Our first dust storm got this country deep. Tore people out by the roots. Sent them scurrying for sweeter somewhere. For most, that somewhere was California. See, out here in the Golden State, folks could just forget their past, invent a new life. Well, that was the dream. Those who grapes were grafted down the mother road were bound and determined to be somebody else, boy. They were people from somewhere else, headed somewhere better. California dreamers had no doubt that tomorrow would be better than today. That tomorrow always came first to California. There was an underlying current, ran dark and deep along this left coast. California, we ran out of rope. Continent just stops here. There's nowhere left to go. Things better work out here. And for most, California turned out to be a beautiful fraud. Didn't deliver quite the Eden it promised. Landowners got rich right off the backs of the lions. While for others, like Dorothea, California changed everything. California transformed Dorothea's life. Her transformation changed the way America saw the Dust Bowl and the Great Depression.
Oh, Mother, please, stay where you are. Oh, your oldest isn't too happy with me.
She just dreaming of Cinderella's and Prince Charming.
Well, it's never easy.
What's that?
Mothers and their daughters.
She just wishing she was a movie star.
That's sweet.
Another dream that won't last past daybreak.
Right here, Mom. I'm not invisible.
I had sons, 2 of them, and a stepdaughter. She and I don't get along all that well.
I'm sorry to hear about that. These girls can be a bother for sure, but I wouldn't trade them for nothing.
And let's bring that rocker out here where we can see it. And you better.
This your told girl?
She's not my mother.
No, she ain't. I am. And I told y'all do what she asked.
Oh, good, good, This. Put your legs like this. That's the pose I use for many of my best portraits of young ladies.
I'm no lady, just white trash.
Enough!
Do you enjoy reading these magazines?
Just another distraction.
Would you just let go of your mother for just a moment, and you can stay right there, but just take a baby step back. All right, good. And little girl, could you come out from behind there and go stand on the other side of your sister? Be quick now.
Who this lady thinks she is bossing my youngins like that, hmm?
Oh, much better. I wonder where they're from. When did they get here?
I ain't like all them others. I've been here 4. I was an Okie for sure, but I be full-blooded Cherokee. Born in the Cherokee Nation in 1903 on a reservation in northeastern Oklahoma. Grew up near Tahlequah. I left Oklahoma the first time in 25 and come out to Oroville, California to work in sawmills and fields.
I'm an East Coaster, born in Hoboken, New Jersey in 1895. When I was 12, my father disappeared and never came back. My mother went to work for the public library to support us, and later on she became a social worker, an investigator for the juvenile court system of New York. She tried to improve the quality of family life in the cities, and I admired her for that.
I was pregnant with her when her daddy died of TB. I took up with a rich man and had his child, but I was afraid he's going to take my baby, so I went back home to Oklahoma in 33.
At 18, I decided to be a photographer, even though I didn't own a camera and had never taken a photograph. My mother wanted me to be a teacher, so I tried that. It didn't go well. I dropped out to study with a few well-known portrait photographers in New York City. I was inspired by Jacob Riis and his images of the slums of Manhattan.
We all come back out to California, to Shafter, California in '34, along with most of the folks headed west. That drought done put the fixin' on us. I don't know if it was the devil's doing or the Lord's, but whoever it was, once he took a swipe at it, everything was dead in no time. You had to leave to live. It wasn't a matter of want to, it was a matter of have to. If folks had been a little less money hungry, this country wouldn't have turned into a wasteland. It wouldn't have got to drier than dirt.
I set out on my own at 23. I planned to travel around the world with a friend. Pretty bold for the times. We were robbed in San Francisco. A pickpocket got our tickets, our cash. That was the end of our big adventure, and we both got jobs. I worked for a while in a luggage and stationery store that did photo finishing in the back. Some friends suggested I open my own studio, and I did, and that's when I took my mother's maiden name from my own.
Depression hit us hard around the spring of '31. Y'all couldn't get no work, and what you could get was very hard, and they didn't pay you nothing for it. I'd leave the house before daylight, and I'd come back after dark. Grapes, taters, peas, whatever there was to do, I was a-doing. I barely made enough each day to buy groceries.
In 1918, I opened my studio on Montgomery Street, the Monkey Block in San Francisco. The studio was one flight up. I made a good living shooting portraits for the wealthy. I spent 14 years doing that.
I never could have afforded a society photographer like her. None of my folk could have.
The Depression took its toll on my business. I remember standing in the south window of my studio, just watching the flow of life. And one day, an unemployed young man walked up the street, came to a corner, stopped, and just stood there for the longest time. I could tell he did just not know where next was.
I chopped cotton down in Firebaugh for 40 cents an acre in them days. I'd hit that cotton field before sunup, and I'd stay. It was so dark I couldn't even see. I filled up them old cotton sacks, I couldn't even lift them. I must have picked 400 or 500 pounds of cotton every day. I didn't weigh 100 pounds. I had to drag them cotton sacks halfway across the
That's
field
when
in them
I
scales.
said I better make this happen. I knew I had to get out on the street and photograph what was going on. I was drawn to the drama of the moment, and there was a lot
Me and
out
my
there.
kids, we lived in tents, bamboo houses, and everything else. This one time we was living under that bridge down there at Bakersfield, didn't even have a tent, just ratty old quilt. I walked from the Hoover camp at that bridge to way down on First Street to work at a restaurant for 50 cents a day in scraps. They'd give me what was left over to take home, sometimes 2 water buckets full. I had a lot of mouths to feed.
I wanted to photograph the poor and homeless. I wanted to show the suffering of the real people the way Jacob Riis did. Maybe it would help, like his work
Times
helped.
it's hard, no doubt. We has our fun, we listen to music and dance, woo, we go on. We as the people ain't nothing stopping us.
Month upon month, I took my pictures of the victims of the Depression. Me and a few other very talented photographers, week after week. Our photos were sent across the country free
They
of
call us
charge.
rabble. They treat us like cattle. We ain't cattle, we a mob. We just common folk. It's us that does all the working and paying and dreaming and celebrating, living and dying in this country. Is it too much to live with dignity? To live with hope? Without fear? I don't think so.
My images helped persuade Americans to convince our government to assist the poverty-stricken and disenfranchised, collaborating with a talented team of photographers doing their best work to change the world. There was nothing
My
else I
kids
wanted
went to
to
school
do.
sometimes. They got teased most horrible. The other kids tell them, go home and take a bath. You can't do that when you're living out in the back of the car. Mostly they was in the fields with me. I put the youngins in cotton sacks and I'd carry or drag the sacks along as I picked the cotton. And the older kids, they'd walk on up ahead of me and they'd pick the cotton and pile it up in front of me, and I'd come along and I'd put it in my sack. And
Do you move around a lot?
I have to. It ain't bad though. I like moving around. I like to have my wheels under me.
Oh, not me. I'd rather be at home in my own bed.
Us too, if we had one.
My goal is to document humanity and see what is really there. What does it look like? feel like? What actually is the human condition?
We just exist, let's put it that way. We survive. I do what I do to make a living. Don't want nobody feeling sorry for us. We'll survive. My biggest fear is if I ask for help, they'll take my kids.
Well, I've encountered dust, blowing sand, misery to such an extent that home seems like heaven. I've seen things that still leave me speechless. We don't pay enough attention to poverty. That's why it continues to be a problem.
This place here is a tar pit. The strong can get out, but we can't. Y'all look in their eyes, there just ain't no hope there.
They have no one and nothing to turn to.
Real poverty is when life doesn't meet the human needs, when circumstances just simply don't yield it and can't, no matter how the people struggle.
When we first got here, we still had some food left. I shared it with the kids in the camp. It felt good. Jim says I ought to not be doing that because it's got to last. You know, there's going to be more of them now, he says. You can't keep it up, he says. I tell him God will provide. We've been bad off before. I can't help but do what I can for him. If it's wrong, well, I don't know, but it's what I always done. I can't stop now.
I need to use my camera to help change the way the public sees the poor.
The look of hunger's in the camp. Death will be here next. First the very young and then the very old. Just natural selection, culling the weakest like they's hoping. Soon there'll be other kinds of trouble.
You'd best keep an eye peeled.
For what?
About time for them locals to come around.
Well, I didn't see anyone.
They're out there, just waiting and biding their time.
Why?
Oh, they're fixing to do a little house cleaning.
Well, why would they bother you? You have so little.
Don't matter none. They hates us Okies. Thinks we're all natural born liars and thieves.
Then we all look alike, dress alike, and act alike.
Just a bunch of inbreds. When a farmer's done with us, he wants us to get on down the road, and if we hesitate, he makes sure we don't hesitate for long.
How?
That's their ways. That's why we're set up here outside of the camp. Too many people in there always means trouble, always means someone to get their head cracked open like a melon.
Does everybody feel this way?
Not all, but plenty do. Even good people forget their manners if they had a little nip or two, or hits a rough patch of their own. Fear is a powerful persuader, real honest to God attitude changer.
That breaks my heart.
Public health folks, they come out and clean up the camp. Says it's unsanitary. So then the sheriff, he come along and gives us his notice to clear out, or he gonna clear us out. And locals use that excuse to make us someone else's problem. Say it's time to take out the trash, and they do. Some people packed up and left, headed nowhere in particulars.
Just away.
I make the most mistakes on subject matter I get excited and enthusiastic about. In other words, the more flawed the work, the richer the material is. Some images might be bad, but they're all useful. It's a fine line to balance the documentary vision with emotion and imagination. I know what I want. I know what to feature. I know what to leave out.
They used to tell me I was building a dream. Peace and glory ahead. So why should I be standing in line, waiting for rain? Once I built a railroad, I made it right. of that Yankee Doodle-Dum, and 500,000 boots went slogging through hell. I was that kid on the drum. Once I built a tower up to the sun, brick and rivet and lime. I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime? Brother, you spare a dime? Saturation heat. That's what Dorothea called her most focused work. For her, it was like getting lost. Cherished those days, exhausting as they were. Working at her peak, she said, the final picture was pretty much what I see as I take it. See, Dorothea had an innate eye for composition. It's got better with time. The skills she refined enabled her to see each photograph in her mind before she took it. But she was also driven. Nothing could stop her, not life on the road, harsh working conditions, bone tiredness, health problems, harassment. Just waved them off, kept going. She said, you can't deny what you must do, no matter what it costs. With me, it's always expenditure for the last ditch. I know the last ditch, I've lived the last ditch. She took the words of Robert Capa very much so. He said, if your pictures aren't good enough, you're not close enough.
My practice was to point my camera up towards the faces, not look down on them. That lower perspective made my subjects look larger than life. It also had to do with the fact that I'm not all that tall. Plus, the camera I like to use, I have to look down through the viewfinder rather than straight ahead.
Nothing to be afraid of, sweet pea.
Why can't you just leave us be? We have enough troubles.
We'll be fine.
The contemplation of things as they are, without error or confusion, without substitution or imposture, is in itself a nobler thing than a whole harvest of invention. Francis Bacon wrote that. I have it tacked to my dark-room door. These lines have served as my guide all my life.
Why can't she just be happy with what she got?
The teenage girl. She old enough to be on her own? I wonder when the mother had her. Was she a teenage mother? What would that look like? Oh, they already have too many children to support. How many more will they have? It needs to be simple, less complicated. Young lady, would you mind moving the rock behind?
I don't much appreciate this lady doing that kind of thing, acting like she owns the place. Maybe if I don't look at her, she'll move on, huh? Sooner or later, amen?
Her face is all wrong. She's looking down, avoiding the attention. I've triggered that self-protective thing. I've invaded her privacy and made her feel discomfort. I need sorrow or anxiety or pride, not embarrassment or anger.
Guess there's nothing to be done about it till she loses interest, huh?
I would never embarrass them, any of them. I won't show people who are too beaten down, too bad off. If we want people to care enough to do something, if the pictures are too sad, they won't. My portraits show people who are better than their condition. Tough, hopeful, determined, and they are better. One said to me, average man wants to live a bit decent. Another said, we don't live this way because we like it. This place is the result of conditions. Still another said, I never lived this way before, but I do now and I can't help it. I believed them. All of them. It was in their faces.
My baby's hungry. If and I nurses her, maybe this woman will leave off. My man is gone.
He's in town. His name's Jim, and he took her older brother with him. His name's Troy.
You're not married.
Why am I putting up with this? I don't got to tell this woman nothing. No. And my man has gone to town to get parts to fix the car. He a handsome man, a bartender and a butcher from Los Angeles. Never could hold down a job though. It's important. Keeping this family together fell on me. I can protect him, but I can't provide for him too. I just can't do it all.
It works better without the husband. They look abandoned and in need. She looks stronger.
How about y'all?
Me?
Y'all got a man? Y'all married?
Twice.
I knew it. I told y'all she was no better than me, no better. Children?
Yes. While living in San Francisco, some friends introduced me to Maynard Dixon, a painter from Fresno, a well-connected artist, a bit of a bohemian. We married in 1920. I was 24. He was 44. He had a teenage daughter, Constance. We called her Concy. She was jealous of me. That caused some problems. Dixon and I had 2 sons, Dan and John. I tried to create the kind of stable home life that I never had, and I failed, just like my father. We traveled a lot around the West so he could paint. I put my career on hold. I took some photographs. It was a good life for a time. We both had affairs. I had 2 abortions. 15 years later, we divorced, and that was the fall of 1935.
Why is it people like her, rich people, always think they can tell us poor folk what to do? Can do whatever they please.
I met Paul Taylor in Oakland after he saw one of my exhibits. Photographs of a May Day demonstration in San Francisco. I married him last December in Albuquerque. He's a social economist and a human rights advocate from Berkeley. He has a romantic belief in justice, and I caught it. He has temporary custody of his 3 children. I have permanent custody of my 2 boys, and now we're a family of 7. He offered me a job to take the kinds of pictures I wanted to take. We began working for government agencies, including the Resettlement Administration. He soon realized using my pictures to enhance his reports attracted attention. We made enough money, we could put the children in boarding school when we were on the road. The abandoned daughter abandoning her own children. That's a bit ironic, isn't it? And sometimes I call him Pablo. He calls me Mi Chaparrito, my little shorty. He taught me to think like a social anthropologist. He believes that ends justify the means. This year is a new beginning for me in both my professional life and my personal life.
How can y'all be away from your kids?
It's complicated.
It's manageable.
I'm gone a lot.
I don't know how y'all can do it.
Oh, I don't mind. We're the closest of strangers.
That ain't no kind of family. That ain't no kind of life. I guess they sometimes weigh me down, but I carry on.
I don't always.
Motherhood is hard work.
It's indentured labor.
It's love that binds us, imprisons us.
I don't know that I could do it.
We do what we got to do.
I should have done a better job with them.
But she was just too busy trying to change the world.
She's the Migrant Madonna, sacred Marian of the fields. She will save us from the shame and guilt of our greed. She's a reminder of what women have been, can be, and will be. Maybe this photograph will show everyone the image of a woman facing up to hardship with strength, grace, and compassion, doing it by herself for her family. I hope to show the burden this Great Depression is on mothers. Her life is hard, yet she can still nurture her child.
Every time it rains, it rains. But it's
Unfortunately, it's a message the government may not want to promote.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. Don't you know each cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find it fortune folded all over town. So be sure your umbrella is upside down. Trade them in for packages, sunshine and flowers. If you want the things you love, you must have showers. You find the fortune folded all over town. Be sure your umbrella is upside down. Things were changing for women in early 20th century America. The suffrage movement in the roaring 20s opened the door a crack, but the Great Depression pushed it open even wider. Even still, something deeper going on, even out in California. See, out in California, women were working. Women were trying to change the world. Dorothea's images captured that collision between the old expectation and the new reality. About a woman's role as a wife, or a mother, or a worker, or a citizen.
I've never done well photographing children.
You wait just right there. We'll get you in the next one. Now you can go stand next to your mother again. Good. And could you give her a little hug? You'd like that, wouldn't you? It's awfully cold.
Ain't that cold.
And look right here.
Does y'all hide behind that thing?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Does y'all see anything outside of that thing y'all looks through?
I do. I see everything. I see everything that's going on with you, to you. I see everything that's going on with this country, to this country. This whole thing, this whole mess we're in has forced us to take a closer look at things, at ourselves. No country has ever closely scrutinized itself visually that I know of. I know what it could be if people only thought we could dare look at ourselves.
Wouldn't like what we see.
When's the last time y'all looked in the mirror?
Do you always say what you mean?
I ain't clever enough to make stuff up.
I am a professional. I take pride in my work. I see, I listen, I photograph. It's that simple.
She ain't seeing what's as plain as the nose on her face. She ain't hearing what's as clear to hear as the birds in the air.
Your kind is what got us here.
My kind?
The swells, the elites, all them politicians, the newspapers, the bankers, the government. We was counting on them and they all let us down. I read the newspapers, I hear people talk. They call us them all a pack of fascists.
Just because I work for them doesn't mean I'm one of them. And I don't always shoot what they tell me to. I see the problems. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
They got their fingers in everything. They's like a big old octopus. And they wants more. There ain't no accounting for their covetousness or lack of compassion. They don't give a fig for the little guy, the forgotten land.
And woman.
It's hard
What's that?
being a woman
In a man's world.
Uh-huh.
Oh, conditions like this make motherhood impossible.
That's no land and no house to be attached to no more.
I've taken photos of what isn't there anymore. The house, the door, the hearth.
There ain't no house, there ain't no home.
We all ache for home, a safe harbor where you can be yourself and do what you want to and not what you have to.
I cooks, clean, sew, do laundry. Just trying to maintain some kind of regular home life. That's my job. I do what I got to do. It's what I always done, what I was raised to do, what people expected me to do, what people depend on me to do. And it's doing them day-to-day things that keeps me from losing my mind.
Well, expectations are tough to live up to.
It ain't easy for sure. There ain't no outside or inside no more. How can y'all clean when there's dirt everywhere? I sweeps dirt till I can't sweeps no more.
It's like trying to hold back to the tide with your bare hands. Dirt always wins.
I guess that just ain't who I am no more.
It never was who I am. I didn't like to clean. Or keep house or any of those other domestic chores. I still love to cook, though.
Husbands, children, homemaking, that's my whole world.
It was mine, too, once upon a time.
Well, how can you build a community when you're on the move all the time? There ain't no home, there ain't no community. If there ain't no community, there ain't no democracy. If there ain't no democracy, there ain't no America.
That's why a photograph must be a promoter of consequences. Every action has an effect, good or bad. I shoot for good. The way I work and the work itself cannot be separated. Means and ends evolve together.
Some of us live in cars, you know. Others live in shacks with floors made of dirt and walls made of burlap and roofs made of cardboard. No water, no plumbing, no electricity. Some calls it public homemaking. Public homemaking, what's that even mean? Some kind of doublespeak, ain't it? And just don't make no sense, does it?
I've seen it. It's not right. It's not human.
Can y'all imagine living like that? Raising a family like that?
I can't.
This is my white picket fence. I want to have real walls around me again and furniture. Hanging pots on a tent wall don't make it home. Moving dust around with the broom just don't make it clean.
Ritual and routine helps us survive, keeps us from going insane. It's all about keeping the home fires burning in some way, which I was never too good at doing.
I want to go back where we can live happy again. Live decent. I want to go back to normal. That ain't gonna happen. There ain't no normal no more. You know, I wouldn't know normal if it was lying dead at my feet.
I understand. I'm a woman. I've been there. Normal wasn't always good to me.
You haven't been here.
Oh, well, things are changing. California is changing them. We're changing them. Things will not stay the same. Some people don't like it that I work outside the home. I'm not supposed to be there. Only men are supposed to be out in the streets. They think I'm stealing a job from some able-bodied man. We women are supposed to look and act a certain way, the way society expects us to look and act. At first, the government wouldn't hire me because I'm a woman. They had no problem hiring all those other men. The work I do is geared towards men. And when they finally saw what I could do, they figured they could make an exception.
You know, when there's no work, our menfolk don't know what to do with themselves.
I do. You do. Every woman does. It's up to us to make do or do without. We work harder than ever, harder than men.
We work alongside our man in the field during the day and then feed and clean our family at night. We just plain stronger.
Roy Stryker hired me. He's the head of the government's rural photography project. We have our ups and downs. We might as well be married. We respect each other, but we disagree about things. For example, I want to develop my own negatives because it takes too long to get them back from Washington, so I can't learn from my mistakes. He won't allow it because he has to be in control of everything. I always need supplies and sometimes equipment. There's no budget, he says. I can never show or sell what I've done because I don't own my own work. That's the policy, he tells me. I've never dealt with bureaucracy well, and he's a bureaucrat, and I'm not used to having my own boss, and he likes being my boss. That's my nickname for him, the boss. They grade my work. And they delay reimbursements. It's the same for everyone, he explains. The office staff in Washington, they don't appreciate it when I come around. I don't very often, but they never like it when I do. They think I'm a diva. Well, I don't get much appreciation for what I do. I can't get a raise. And the other less talented men photographers, they get paid more than I do. They don't do as much work as I do, and they get away with it. So I have to fight for myself.
Me too. Except all they ever got me was bruises and a bad reputation.
I think a lot of it has to do with being a woman. When I married Paul, the office workers in Washington changed my name on all of their records to Taylor. I didn't take Taylor for my last name when I married Paul. I didn't take Dixon when I married Maynard. Dorothea Lang is my legal name, my only name. I am not Dorothea Dixon, and I am not Dorothea Taylor. I am Dorothea Lang.
Good for y'all.
I guess giving my own name isn't normal. I guess it's ahead of its time.
I have me a few last names myself. It's just what we do, what's expected.
Well, I have a problem with what's expected. I may be pushy, but I never refuse an assignment. Stryker says I can be high maintenance. Well, he trusts me. He's given me a chance. He's changed my life, and that is all that matters.
You wanna know why I read these? It's an escape. A place to go that's not this place. A life to live that's not this life. A person to be that's not this person. You wanna know why I'm afraid? We have no control. We don't know what's waiting right down the road. You wanna know why I'm worried? Because people who are nice, who aren't racist, who aren't prejudiced, who don't lie, who don't love war, and who don't fight dirty, will always lose to those who are and those who do. I don't know why I have a problem with you. You're not her. Look at her, she's skin and bones. Why? She feeds us first. She takes care of us, she's here for us. Every minute, every hour, every day. There is not a selfish bone in her body. Want to know why I'm feeling a little better right now? You'll soon be moving on. And so will we. You know why I haven't given up yet? Because hope is that newborn babe on her breast.
Been miles in the sun, riding the sky today. Must have known how I liked it, as it's all headed my way. Who's teaching all the birds how to sing around the lake? Must have known how I liked it, as it's all headed my way. Yesterday everything was so anyhow. Then I met someone. Wiping out the clouds of gray. Must have known how I liked it, as it's all headed my way. Who's been teaching every bird how to sing around the lake? Must have known how I like it, as it's all headed my way. Yesterday everything looked so anyhow. Sentimentality. Difficult concepts to balance. Documentary and artistic photography. Tough styles to reconcile. There are those who believe that the camera is simply an objective recording device. Can't lie. That's true. Then that means that the camera can't be used to express the subjective vision of an individual artist. In other words, no such thing as framing reality. The truth is there, the camera simply captures it. Well, on the other hand, there are those who believe that it is what the photographer chooses to frame that shapes that reality. So what is left out is as important as what is left in. That means that we as viewers of an image never really experience the full story. Only what the photographer wants us to see. And that is always Dorothea's intention. And the other government photographers, even though they denied it, they wanted to tell a story the best way possible to change things. See, the fact is, documentary photo is neither neutral nor objective. Always colored by how the photographer perceives the events. Now, news or forensic photographers might claim they never retouch or rearrange, but they can't deny that they choose to include or exclude. So, the Resettlement Administration, Foreign Security Administration, that was the agency that Dorothea worked for. And it was set up to help tenant farmers as part of President Roosevelt's New Deal. Opponents of the agency, mostly Republicans, accused Stryker and his colleagues of manipulating reality. Well, Stryker denied it, of course, yet he wrote the following to Arthur Rothstein, one of his other photographers. Get Debt Adjustment Committee at work, even if staged. Well, these issues with staging and retouching are valid because the government believed that these images were legal evidence submitted into the court of public opinion to build a case for federal policy. And as Jack Delano would say, it isn't something you happen to see. A documentary photograph is the expression of the essence of what you are seeing. So as she continued to work that dreary day, Dorothea said she may have been invading her subject's privacy or making her a little uncomfortable. So she used her fifth shot to overcome it.
Now it's your big sister's turn. Would you like a picture with your mother? Oh, right, you'll need to trade places. And could you go stand on the other side of her? Good. And would you mind removing your cap so I can see your face better? Lovely. And could you put your chin on your mother's shoulder? Oh, wonderful. That should keep her from moving around. The fading afternoon light on her hair is perfect. The looks on their faces is much better.
This foolishness never gonna end.
The shot is there. I know it. I just have to find it.
She's no better than one of those tabloid newspaper photographers shooting dead people and selling them to guys bitter.
Lord save me from these well-meaning do-gooders.
Everything is propaganda for what you believe in. I don't see how it could be otherwise. The harder, more deeply you believe in anything, the more you become a propagandist. I don't believe it's a bad word.
Y'all are red?
Sorry?
A commie?
I believe it's some of the same things, but I am not a member of the Communist Party, if that's what you mean. My first husband, Dixon, was leery of communism, so I didn't get involved.
I seen a man killed by the law because he was a commie. Just a regular old guy shot in the back trying to get away.
Just as he's trying to improve things for the rest of us.
I've seen it too, down in the Imperial Valley. Oh, what goes on down there is beyond belief. It's a whole other social structure. It's a different world. Down there, if they don't like you, they shoot you. And then they beat you up and throw you in a ditch. I won't go there alone anymore. It's too dangerous.
A lot of people come out of them camps thinking and seeing red.
Well, you can't blame them. They needed to turn to something.
I used to go along. I took what they paid me, even when they cheated me, just walked away.
Never stood up for what was hers.
I saw things get worse. Saw camps raided. Saw people beat up.
Saw a young mother and her baby murdered.
It made me mad. I thought, how can they do that to their own people, to other Americans? I got to more and more angry, so I jumped in with both feet. I wanted to stand in them picket lines and show them I didn't go along with what was going on, but I was pregnant then. And
Well, you're a mother, you have a family, you have responsibilities.
yep, to make a difference. Sometimes wonder about all them folks starving, or one guy's got acres of oranges he ain't sharing. I wonder what would happen if all of us done got together and made some noise. I ain't talking about nothing violent or nothing like that. I ain't no kind of outlaw. I'm talking about making sure people can eat. Making sure folks don't get beat down for doing nothing but trying to care for their own. Making sure people got a roof over their heads. Making sure people got their health. I'm talking about scrounging around and figuring out what's really going on and seeing if there ain't some way to fix it. I don't know what that might be yet because I don't know enough yet, but I know it'd be something big, bigger than all of us. It's like we all got a little piece of the one big dream that belongs to everybody. We deserve to have our piece. That day will come and I will be there. I will be there when children laugh because they ain't hungry no more. And I will be there when a mama cries because she's got her own home. And I will be there when a man smiles because he's provided for his family. They might drag me down, but I ain't giving up.
There are a lot of good people out there doing good work. It takes time.
I don't have time.
We're trying to do something to change it.
Ain't nobody losing sleep over us. I could be gone tomorrow, nobody'd even notice.
Deep down, nobody cares.
I do, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Y'all getting something for doing it.
Well, yes, but it's more than that, much more. It always has been.
I feels like a stranger in this land. In my own country. I feels invisible, like I don't belong. Poor people like me from the backwaters and flatlands, we get overlooked by people in the big cities, left behind. We discarded, tossed in the trash heap. Y'all ain't worried about us. As long as we do what y'all want and get y'all what y'all need, as long as we keep that plantation of yours running. We ain't never been nothing more than little pawns with your big game. We ain't never counted.
You aren't paying no mind to what we need. It's just more of the same.
We do what we can do. It's not always easy. We've got battles to fight too.
It ain't the same. Y'all got someplace to go. Y'all can leave anytime y'all want. I can't. Y'all got choices. I don't.
I want to be here now.
We're no better than those folks in Africa. I thought we was, but we aren't. It's just as bad here as there, maybe worse.
I understand. I've seen the poverty here. It's hard to believe sometimes.
Believe it!
It don't matter. It don't matter. It's all rigged against people like me. The deck is stacked. And the ones dealing is the ones holding all the cards.
We all can win. We all can get through this together. We can make it if we try.
How long that gonna take?
I don't know, but it is going to get better. It has to.
No, it's just gonna be more of the same. Has to, got nothing to do with what is.
I am more optimistic than that.
Not me. It's a tired out land. We's a tired out people.
The better angels of our nature will win out. They always have. They always will.
I don't believe that.
Why not?
I'm scared.
Of what?
Of starving. Of losing hope. Of not being able to care for my family. Of being left behind, let down, discarded, kicked on down the road of dying. I'm worried about them. What's their future gonna be? What kind of world my kid's gonna live in?
That is the problem, you know. That fear. They use it to divide us. They label us and separate us and keep us apart and fighting each other instead of fighting back. They want us at odds. They want us to mistrust. They want us to hate. But in the end, it is only us against them. We can overcome our fear. We can join together and work it out. We can.
It's easy for y'all to say.
Well, the fact is that we all share a great deal of common ground. We can overcome our fear and work it out. We are all Americans. We all share the same values. That is what this is really all about. Introducing Americans to America, the real America.
Your America is real different from mine.
We are doing good things. We are making America come together and be what it was once more. Become that bright and shining city on a hill again. Never stop believing that fighting for what is right is worth it. There is a line from Scripture I really believe is true. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up.
Well, it's a bitter harvest we've been reaping so far.
Be patient.
Patience about all I got's left.
It's free.
It don't cost me a thing.
Don't give up.
I don't know, I got the grit to carry on.
I think you do. You have to face it fresh each and every day. You have to wake up a virgin every morning.
You're judging me. You're judging me, ain't you? What right y'all got to be judging me?
I'm not, I can't. How can I? I haven't traveled the road you've traveled. I haven't lived your life, looked out your eyes. Just like you can't judge me. You don't know me. You have no idea who I am, what my life is, has been, or will be.
Well, it sure enough ain't my life, otherwise y'all be sitting here. I do what I can do. Y'all mean what works for y'all.
It's more than most.
Well, it ain't working for me.
My pictures speak for me. They make a difference.
You're sure about that?
Absolutely, I have no doubts. It has to be done. It will be done.
Put that damn thing down. I want y'all to see me. I ain't no curiosity. I ain't no object. Look at me, see me. Mark my words, lady. We won't be fooled no more. Change is gonna come. Might be same as yours, might be different, but one of these days a strong wind is gonna blow. Only it won't be blowing dust and misery. It'll be blowing something new and something good and something big, and we're gonna stick it to them.
Who?
The fat cats, the bigwigs. We're gonna make them pay for what they've done. There's gotta be something better. Someone better. Someone who understands what we're going through. Someone like good old Andy Jackson. Huey Everyman of King Long. Someone who lived long enough to make it good for everybody. It's our turn. I don't want to be one of them next year people no more.
That kind of change could be deadly.
Well, I will take that chance.
We have no choice. There's no other options.
This country's heart is big enough for all of us. We'll get through this. We always have.
Alone or together?
Together.
What makes y'all think so?
Because we are more alike than we are different. Will you go this way, please? There are moments such as these when time stands still and you can only hold your breath and hope it will wait for you, and then you know you have not taken anything from anyone, their privacy, their decency, or their wholeness, and you just hope you have enough time to organize it in a fraction of a second on that tiny piece of sensitive film.
Oh, it's taken Jim so long.
One really should use the camera, as though tomorrow she would be stricken blind. Then the camera becomes an instrument that says to the world, this is the way it is. Look at it. Look at it. The documentary photograph exposes truths not readily accessible. I love the Chinese proverb that says the eyes are blind to what the mind does not see.
I sure hope he comes back for when locals show up.
What is a photograph in the end? It is a mounted piece of paper with a photographic silver image on it, but in it is an element that can only be called an act of love. And you give it to the world, to your world. Love, it's the deepest thing behind it, and the audience receiving it gives it back.
Someday when I hopefully know, when the world is cold, I will feel the cold just thinking of you. And the way you look tonight, yeah, so lovely, smile so warm, cheeks so soft. There's nothing for me but to love you, just the way you look tonight. With each word you're lovely never, don't never change. Keep their breath, they just won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you. Just the way you look tonight. Photography's been around for almost 2 centuries. And that time become a pretty big part of our lives, part of our culture. So big, you might think we've begun to take the power an image can have for granted. Not so much back then. See, back then an image could mean more because, well, you just expected less. When Time magazine published its list of 100 most influential photographs of all time, the curator said there's no list that they could follow when making those selections, because an image can be iconic for a variety of reasons. Maybe it was the first. Maybe it changed the way we live. Maybe it shaped our thinking. Maybe it was a turning point. There's one thing they all share. The photographer was there. It's present. The most powerful photographs, they're witness. They speak to us face to face. In every memorable photograph, there is something timeless, something enduring, truth that moves decade after decade, generation after generation. The most indelible images are ingrained in our collective conscience. But there's another thing. Because even an archetypal image can't exist without an audience. Without someone to interpret, someone to fill in the gaps, to recognize what is meant from what is not said. And it can't exist without some way for it to be shared. Oh, I know today there are lots of ways to experience an image. Not so much back then. Without newspapers newsreels, and government publications, why your mother might never have seen the light of day. But it did. We did. So for her next shot, Dorothea fell back on her portrait experience, crafted a formal pose, one very different from most documentary photography.
I think it is very difficult for anyone to understand how exposing it is to be the subject of a film or a photograph. That's why anytime someone asks me not to take their picture, I honor their request. I understand what it means to be on the other side of the camera. The minute a filmmaker or photographer puts a frame around reality, chooses a particular composition, makes editing choices of what to show or what to leave out, truth becomes the casualty. There's always an agenda. There's always something behind it, even for an amateur. I'm close, but it can be better. Please be patient.
Lord grant me patience indeed.
The trunk, it's a reminder that migrants have no home. They must always be on the move in order to make a living. That is their life. It is an American exodus.
Why is she doing that, Mama? There's no pie.
I know, darling, I know. Just ignore her, huh?
The pie tin, the empty pie tin, it's an important symbol that says everything about the hunger caused by this depression.
She's trying to send a message if she should use Western Union.
Did she say that they were living off of the frozen vegetables in the surrounding fields and the birds that the children had killed? I think she said that they just sold the tires from her car in order to buy food. Or was it the tent? Oh, but that can't be because I see them both now. Oh, I must be tired. I can't remember what she may have just told me.
You know, I sure hope she gets her facts straight. She better not say we sold our tires to buy food. That's what some folks have to do, not us. Any fool can see there's tires on the car. The hood's up, so scattered around. Pretty plain to see it be broken, but it got its tires. Rubber gypsies like us needs wheels to do what we do. No, it don't make no kind of sense to figure otherwise.
And maybe it will be more powerful if I compose a traditional portrait, like I used to in San Francisco. Still baffles me I could take pictures of the rich when the poor were standing in bread lines right outside my studio.
She's getting fancy now, trying something different.
They're centered now. Plenty of space above their heads, and the tent is a better backdrop. I can frame out the dirty clothes. I don't want my audience to judge her. After all, it's not her fault. It's ours. Society's, our country's. Thanks to our greed and our arrogance. Oh, what fools we are. What fools we are, have been and may be.
I'll wager she don't know I'm Indian. Probably just thinks I'm one more piece of poor white trash. If she knew, she might not be taking my picture. Her bosses certainly wouldn't be liking that.
Her face is too rigid, too passive in every shot. I need to get the right facial expression, but if I ask her too much, a baby might wake up. That would spoil the moment.
Why y'all want to take my picture anyways?
Well, there's something about you. I can't put my finger on it, but I could see it as soon as I saw you.
I ain't no Hollywood pinup.
You're more beautiful.
Everyone says that, Mama. You're real pretty.
It's a haunting look of despair. In her face, I see resilience, dignity, survival. At any given moment, something different, more riveting, washes across her face. It's damaged beauty.
Please don't make me look poor and old or ugly or stupid or worse, silly and pitiful. I couldn't stand that. I just couldn't.
I wouldn't do that to you. You remind me of the Mona Lisa.
Oh,
You have that enigmatic smile.
I'm just a woman.
Beauty in unexpected places seems to be my signature style.
Don't you be what you ain't, just you be what you is.
If you're just a little tadpole, don't you try to be a frog.
You're more than that, much more.
It ain't real.
Right here, right now, this moment, this is real. This is the story, the truth, the actual fact. It wouldn't be really considered real enough if it were art, if it were to end up hanging in somebody's parlor.
If y'all says so.
I do.
What's a parlor?
I want my pictures to prompt people to act. or to truly see things as they are, as if illuminated by a hunk of lightning.
Hallelujah.
I have to get my camera to register the things that's more important about these people than how poor they are. Their strength and their spirit. Many times, I have encountered courage. Real courage. Undeniable courage. I've heard it said that courage is the highest quality of the human animal. I have to balance their plight with their pride. We have to let these people speak to us face to face. I'm trying here to say something about the despised, the defeated, the alienated. About death and disaster. About the wounded, the crippled, the helpless, the rootless, the dislocated, about finality, about the last ditch. I know about the last ditch. I've lived on the last ditch. My images have to be good to do good.
But they ain't real. Y'all moving us around ain't the real deal, is it? It's your reality, ain't it, Missy, not mine?
Send things up is sort of cheating, isn't it?
I never steal a photograph, never. All photographs are a collaboration. As part of their thinking as well as mine, I want them in on it. They are complicit in the creation of their own portraits. I am merely a clinical observer committed to a direct, unmanipulated recording of contemporary events.
I guess I just ain't seen it the same way as y'all do.
That is the world is. It is potentially full of good photographs, but to be good, photographs must be full of the world.
What's the difference? It's just a picture.
Photography takes an instant out of time, altering life by holding it still. The great photograph first asks and then answers two questions. Is that my world? What, if not, has that world to do with mine? My goal is to see what you all bring home.
She got awfully quiet all of a sudden.
She's fine.
Every image a photographer sees, every photograph she takes, becomes, in a sense, a self-portrait. A portrait's made more meaningful by intimacy. And intimacy is shared not only by the photographer with her subject, with the audience. What's familiar to one may very likely be familiar to another. Sweat in the eyes, sun on the back, cold in the heart. These things we all know. And more important, we know something of what they mean. Hard work, warm weather, pain.
Something ain't right.
Maybe she's just tired.
I believe every action, every human action, everything, every piece of art, including every photograph, has some sort of consequence. If you can come close to the truth, there are consequences from the truth. A good photograph is not the object. The consequences from the truth are the object. It can be something extraordinarily beautiful for its own sake, so that no one would say, how did you do it, where did you find it, but they might say, how wonderful that such things could be.
Must be something weighing heavy on her mind.
It's not us.
My own approach is based upon three considerations. First, hands off. When I photograph, I do not molest or tamper with or arrange. Second, a sense of place. I try to place pictures so that they have part of their surroundings, like having roots. And third, a sense of time. When I photograph, I want to show it's having its position in either the past or the present.
Sure hope we didn't make her mad or sad.
You put your camera around your neck, and along with putting on your shoes, and it becomes an appendage of the body, sharing your life with you. And then it becomes an instrument that teaches people how to see without a camera. To live a visual life is an enormous undertaking, practically unattainable. I've only touched it. Touched it. Would you mind looking over here again, please?
This dark and troubled side of life, but there's a bright and sunny side too. So if you meet with darkness and strife, sunny side you also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side, on the sunny side of life. And it'll help us every day and it'll brighten all the way if we keep on the sunny side of life. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side, on the sunny side of life. And it'll help us every day and it'll brighten all the way if we keep on the sunny side of life. We'll keep on the sunny side of life. Dorothea was a master of literature. The studio shows up, but Roy Stryker wanted something more for his agency. He wanted context, you know, he wanted the rest of the story. What had been left out? What was forgotten? What wasn't seen? That's why he always instructed all of his photographers to do exactly what Dorothea did. Provide visual context. Dorothea became very good at portraiture in context and creating visual metaphors. But she didn't stop with creating context visually. She also became an expert at supplying context through written capture. Dorothea rejected the notion that a picture is worth 1,000 words. She wasn't interested in simply creating those timeless universals like joy, love, suffering, hopelessness. Well, many of her images did exactly that. She learned a great deal from Paul Taylor about how an effective caption could make an image more powerful. Lang and Taylor were using captions long before Look or Life magazine. When they worked together, Taylor would write the text. When she worked alone, she would jot down the notes in her notebook. When she was carrying it, when she wasn't carrying it, she would rush back to the car as soon as she was done and jot down her notes. This may explain why she didn't always get it right. Dorothea said, I like the kind of material that tells a person what to look for, directs the mind. I like the kind of material that gives more background, that fortifies without directing a person's mind. See, the subjects in her images were speaking, not heard. That's why she used their words. Dorothea knew his mother's face and captured all the intimacy she needed. The last photograph, only close-up she'd take. She knew the mother's face would capture the intimacy. The words would tell the rest of the story.
I need to see her anguish, echoing every mother's anguish, whether it's poverty or disease or war. Come here, child. Please join your sister. All right, I understand. Just right there. Your mother's right. Good. I like your smile.
She ain't asked me to smile. Guess she don't like my smile, huh?
She's more interested in our tears.
It ain't all suffering. We laugh, and we worry, and we hope. It ain't all bad all the time.
Now, both of you, would you put your hands on your mother's shoulders? Good. And look to the back of the tent, please. Oh, no, just turn your heads, not your bodies. Just a little. Good. Very good. Now I can concentrate on the mother's face. Please look over here. And now take your right hand and put it up to your chin. Think about what this will be like when it's all over.
That I can do, easy as pie.
That was a gesture I'd used before in the studio and in the field to get the expression that I needed. I also used it to draw attention away from my damaged leg.
I'd do most anything be a long ways away. So I imagine what it'd be like being her. What does that new deal mean for her? Would she feel the same way if the shoe was on the other foot? What if I was her and she was me? What if? Can y'all imagine that?
Debit for fortune goes you and me.
Don't she get that a human being got a right to stand like a tree got a right to stand?
I want the viewer to focus on her beauty and anxiety and let the children's bodies, rather than their faces, express their dependence on her. She's alone in a crowd. They lean on her, they need her, their mother. She needs them, her children. They are intertwined. They have become as they began. One flesh.
It's getting dark.
It's too heavy.
My name is Dorothea Lang. I'm taking photographs for the government. They won't be published. My boss is Roy Stryker. He wants me to take photographs that show the human side of the Depression. Maybe it'll help people like you.
Oh, people like me. She mean migrants or poor folk or Okies or Indians or Americans.
I travel a lot, mostly staying in auto ports between Highway 99 and the railroad tracks.
It's not the same.
Guess y'all keep the road hot and coming and going, huh?
It's a hard living. We're not too far from the people that we work with. We're transients too, rubber gypsies like them.
Hard living? She has no idea what hard living is.
I'm constantly on the move, always working out of my car. They want me to travel and cover as much territory as possible. We rarely stay in one place more than a day at a time.
Must be nice being that free, huh?
I spend weeks in my car, traveling hot and dusty roads, documenting bindle stiffs and homeless families in the labor camps and the mile-wide factory field farms that stretch across these California valleys. I collect faces with stories from coast to coast.
And mine is just one more.
I pray what I do does some good.
Me too.
My immediate concern is that she and her children look like they're starving.
Maybe publishing some of the photos right away will draw attention to their suffering. Maybe convince some government agency to send food and relief supplies to the camp. I have to think about this. Can you tell me your age? I need it for my report.
32?
Oh, goodness. She can't be that young. I thought she must be 40 like me or a little older.
And y'all?
Older than that. How old are you, young lady?
14.
How about you?
She's 5 years old.
5. And you?
She's 4.
Socioeconomic details, date, time, place. We follow contemporary social science guidelines when recording the information for our captions. Our subjects always remain anonymous. Without captions, the information would be lost in time. Words greatly extend visual images, but they must be pure words. Every photograph belongs in some place, has some place in history. It can be fortified by words. I'm just trying to find as many ways as I can think of to enrich visual images so they mean more. I don't describe what you can see. Napomo, California, March 1936. Migrant agriculture workers family. 7 hungry children, mother age 32. The father is a native Californian, destitute in a pea pickers camp because of the failure of the early pea crop. These people had just sold their tires in order to buy food. Most of the 2,500 people in this camp were destitute.
This is heartbreaking. I won't ask them anymore. I guess I don't really want to know.
She never asked me my name.
I never ask names.
It's time for her to go. She needs to leave
It's
us
time
be.
for me to go home. I need to leave these people alone.
What's she waiting for? An engraved invitation?
I've done what I can do. I don't know what else I can do. I decide not to visit the tents and shelters of the other pea pickers that are stranded. It isn't necessary. I know I've recorded the essence of my assignment. Told the story I want to tell. Came to tell. need to tell.
Well, I guess I could have asked her for a handout, but that'd be begging.
And we don't beg.
Believe what I say, children. That lady can do real good for herself. She can be rich and famous. What good's it gonna do me, huh?
I was standing by my window one cold, cloudy day when I saw that coast cold rolling, carry my mother away with a circle beyond. By and by, though, by and by, there's a lady, oh, they're waiting in the sky, low, in the sky. Ah! Oh, I followed close behind her, tried to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow. Laid her down in that grave with a circle beyond broken. By and by, though, by and by, there's a bear, oh, man, waiting in the sky, though, in the sky. There's a bear, oh, man, waiting in the sky, Lord. In the sky. Mother and her children returned to their lives of getting by. Dorothea continued on her way home. Life goes on. Little did either of them realize that the profound anguish expressed that day by the woman with no name will live forever, frozen in history. You see, newspapers are in the business of selling news. Bad news sells better than good news. Dorothea knew the photography pickers couldn't wait for someone in Washington to act, and needed help immediately. So she sent the images to the newspaper she knew would publish them, and on March 10th, 1936, the San Francisco News ran, "Ragged, hungry, broke, harvest workers live in squalor." Next day, it published the photograph Dorothea labeled "Destitute Pea Pickers in California." The image that later became known to the public as "Migrant Mother" appeared above an editorial entitled, "What does the New Deal mean for this mother and her children?"
The article ran, ragged, ill, emaciated by hunger, 2,500 men, women, and children are rescued by the chance visit of a government photographer. Next month, in direct response to the articles, a government agency did deliver 20,000 pounds of food. Florence Owens Thompson and her family were already long gone. Headed up the Harvest Trail northward to the lettuce fields of Watsonville. 6 months later, Migrant Mother was published in the Progressive Journal Survey Graphic.
She never sent me a copy.
I knew the photos would be published. I never promised to send her a copy.
Field's empty now. Not a trace of that encounter that happened here. Encounter that defined a nation. One that still haunts us today.
I wish she hadn't taken my picture. I can't get a penny for it. She never asked my name. She said she wasn't going to sell the picture. She said she'd send me a copy. She never done none of it. And what good's it doing me? I ain't no Grace of Wrath character. I ain't no Dust Bowl refugee like she made me out to be. I'm an Indian. I'm an American. I'm a mother.
I'm sorry it caused her so much grief and pain.
Florence and her family continued to work as agricultural migrants. She eventually remarried and settled in Modesto, California, where in September of 1983, at the age of 80, she died and was laid to rest in Lakewood Cemetery just over in Houston, California. Her headstone reads, Florence Leona Thompson, Migrant Mother, a legend of the strength of American mother. Dorothea Lane continued her work with the Resettlement Administration and the Farm Security Administration. Week after week, she captured the plight of the poor, displaced Americans. Her images wept more than raged. They drew attention to all the people suffering from the ravages of the Depression and helped to stir public demand for government assistance. Dorothea received no direct payment for the images of Florence and her family. They were owned by the federal government. But they did change her life and her career. At the age of 70, in 1965, she died without ever knowing who the woman was in the most famous photograph. Dorothea had gone on to create an unprecedented body of work documenting migrant workers from the cotton fields of Alabama to Modesto's own Skid Row. Along with such notables as Jack Delano, Walker Evans, Russell Lee, and Arthur Rothstein, Dorothea and the other Depression-era photographers created the blueprint for modern photojournalism. As public property, Migrant Mother was available to the public for any use, any purpose, whatever, for free. Over the years, it's been on a stamp. It's been political literature, ads, magazines. By 1941, it's become a recognized documentary masterpiece that was enshrined in the Museum of Modern Art. In the years that followed, Migrant Mother and other photographs from the series sold for over $750,000. No telling what they'd be worth today. Of the image, her boss, Roy Stryker, remarked, when Dorothea took that picture, that was the ultimate. To me, it was the picture of farm security. The others were marvelous, but that was special. She has all the suffering of mankind in her, but all the perseverance too. Her restraint, strange courage. See anything you want to. She's immortal. The eminent photographer and curator Edward Steichen called the series of photographs the most remarkable human documents ever rendered in picture. While John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath may have been the literary version of America's Dark War, Dorothea's Migrant Mother was the visual. Migrant. The Grapes of Wrath is Migrant Mother in word. Migrant Mother is the most requested photograph in the collection at the Library of Congress.
Some people look at my face in that picture and they see doubt, despair, and hunger. Others see pride, maybe courage. That ain't me. Me, all I see is a mother trying to take care of her family.
I will set myself a big problem. I will go down there and photograph this thing. I will come back and develop it, print it, mount it, and put it on the wall all in 24 hours. I do this to see if I can just grab a hunk of lightning